Good morning. Let's take a look at the 15th Homage to Tade. And before we get started, I just want to put a bit of confusion to rest. Some people say that these are 21 homages to Green Tada. Other people say these are 21 homages to 21 different Tadas. And of course, as a liberal, I like the idea that these are 21 homages to 21 different emanations of Green Tada, or to put another spin on it, 21 praises to 21 facets of who Green Tada is and how she interacts and various things. So here's something to explore as a liberal. As a fundamentalist, everything is very literal. There's no room for metaphors or similes or tropes or hyperbole, or at least very little room. As a liberal, there's a lot of room for that. Now, as fundamentalists, often take the idea of prajna paramita, the perfection of wisdom, and turn that into a deity and propitiate it. As a liberal, we say no. Prajna paramita is the perfection of wisdom. That says applying Buddha's mental yogas of that perfect our wisdom of letting go. Likewise, it can be a mistake to make things more complicated than they need to be. And instead of propitiating 21 different Tadas, if we're going to take Atisha's heart vice seriously, then practice Tada in the most simple way. Simple is good. Simple is effective. We don't need to know 21 different mantras for 21 different visualizations and 21 different pujas for Adhyatada. All we really need is a simple, easy practice. It helps us and helps others externally, internally, conventionally, and ultimately. So when in doubt, let's always choose the option that is the most effective and the easiest, because that is the practice most likely to be applied. Having said all that, come, let us take a gander at today's Quatrain. Quatrain, of course, being a collection of 4 lines, and of course a winning answer in Scrabble. So here we go. Homage to the blissful, virtuous, peaceful one, object of practice, Nirvana's Peace, perfectly endowed with Soha and Om, overcoming all the great evils. So a quatrain has 2 couplets. A couplet is, of course, a set of 2 lines. We're going to do something a bit unconventional today. Oh, what a surprise. Today we're going to look at the second couplet first. The second couplet reads, perfectly endowed with Soha and Om, overcoming all the great evils. It is a common opinion that Soha and Om are a reference to the last and first syllables of the 10-syllable mantra of Green Tada, which is Om Tade Tu Tade Ture Soha. And by the way, all my students receive the Tantric empowerment for Green Tada towards the very end of the first quarter of their weekly webinars, which basically follow a 50-week annual curriculum. So here's the deal. The cunning use, the skillful use of Green Tada's 10-syllable mantra, especially when it's combined with assumptive, well-worded, rhetorical questions, is profoundly effective in overcoming all the great evils. So, let's put a finer point on that last line. Overcoming all the great evils. What are the great evils? Things that take place outside of us. Circumstances, the behavior of beings, the behavior of things. Things that happen inside of us, with our bodies, our emotions, our minds, our impulses, and the like. Or conventional needs as well as our ultimate needs. Whoa, what are ultimate needs? Spiritual mastery and spiritual resilience that allow us to have a profoundly meaningful life, that allow us to profoundly benefit others, and that allow us to become the happy campers that we were born to be. Now, let's turn to something a little dark for a second. We all have the same frustrations of not having our needs met. We all have the same frustrations of not always getting what we want when we want it for as long as we want it. We all have the same frustrations of enduring stuff we don't particularly wish to endure. And so it's very tempting to treat Green Tata or any other Buddha as a great celestial Santa Claus. We wish to climb up to their lap with our long list of demands and start bitching away. I want this. I want that. Now, is there anything wrong with having requesting that our needs be met by Green Tata? Nothing at all. But there is something very unfortunate if that's all we do. Think of a surgeon, a man or woman who spent years working very hard to become very skilled, both intellectually as well as physically, at healing the sick. Now, to say, okay, Mr. Surgeon, from now on, we're going to use your scalpel for whittling. That's your job. There's nothing wrong with whittling, but it's an awful waste of a profound potential. Likewise, in addition to enthusiastically presenting our needs to Green Tata and skillfully presenting our needs to Green Tata, our conventional needs, let's also present our ultimate needs. Our need to be freed from the tyranny of impulses and sufferings and their causes. A need to be freed from the tyranny of habit energies that do not serve us well. A need to be freed from confusion and rage, greed and fear and pride and petty selfishness and the like. That's why the first couplet reads, Homage to the blissful, virtuous, peaceful one, object of practice, Nirvana's peace. Remember, the meeting of our conventional needs is either a distraction from our higher trainings or that which facilitates our higher trainings. They are not mutually exclusive. We just gotta be smart about it. So let's talk about Nirvana's peace. Samsara is the tyranny of impulses and sufferings and their causes. Nirvana is liberation from the tyranny of impulses and sufferings and their causes. The impulses are still there. Sufferings, still there. Causes, many of the causes of sufferings, still there. But they're not the boss of us. That's huge. So I often discuss the enlightenment of an arhat and the enlightenment of a Buddha, and contrary to popular belief, they are not mutually exclusive. It's possible to accomplish both in as little as 7 years, 7 months, 7 weeks, or even 7 days. But for those of us who can't go into retreat, those of us who have family and spouse and pets and job, practicing once every morning, once every week, and going to class once a week on a webinar or in person, accomplishing the enlightenment of an arhat and the enlightenment of Buddha is 100% doable in 1 calendar year. How do we get to the enlightenment of Buddha? By mastering Buddha's mental yogas of devotion, awareness, love, and letting go. By mastering the Lam Rim, the stages of the path to enlightenment. That's why in the first class of every webinar series, you learn how to do the verbal wisdom trainings. The second class, you learn the silent wisdom trainings. Third class, you learn the verbal and silent compassion trainings. Next class, the love training. Next class, the gratitude trainings. Next class, the renunciation trainings. And it's done in a fun, simple, easy way that creates the psychic momentum that will allow you not only to practice them, but master them. Master these techniques so that you'll be able to practice them spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. What about the enlightenment of an arhat? In this system we teach the enlightenment of arhat is spiritual resiliency that we learn from mastering the Mahamudra. Mahamudra is a Sanskrit equivalent of the Tibetan term, which can be shortened to 2 syllables, Chok-chen. So you have Lam Rim and Chok-chen, and it's very cool and very symmetric because they're 2 syllables each. But basically, it's getting really good at meditation. The first class, you learn how to do the union of awareness and letting go. The second class, you learn the first bliss practice of the Buddhist tantric version of alternate nostril breathing. The third class, you learn how to do something affectionately known as rainbow yoga, or the union of love and letting go, which is really quite remarkable. And then the classes after that, you get very comfortable with the central channel yogas of the navel and the crown, and the sex root and the crown. And then after only 6 lessons, you have the vocabulary to be a great Buddhist yogi. To do the tantric concentrations of bliss, the tantric contemplations of love and letting go, and the tantric meditations of awareness and letting go. You'll learn how to do them in a structured way, in a contrived way, in a spontaneous way, in an elaborate way, in a concise way, to meet the needs that spontaneously occur in our lives between our meditation breaks. Because we don't always have a half hour to practice. Sometimes we have 30 seconds. And so before the end of the first quarter, before the end of the 12th lesson, you will learn simple, short, effective techniques to cope. Not only to cope with the crap in your life, but like an alchemist, like a spiritual alchemist, transform the crap into spiritual gold. Transform the rage, the sorrow, the fear, the physical pain into greater love and peace and joy and bliss and wisdom. Sometimes in as little as 30 seconds. That's pretty cool stuff. So, can Green Tata help us manifest all our conventional needs? Yes. She can also help us meet all our ultimate needs. She won't do it for us, but she'll work with us. Like the ultimate coach, like the ultimate training partner we've always wanted. So I'm going to now chant this quatrain for you using the bookend chant. Homage to the blissful, virtuous, peaceful one, object of practice Nirvana's peace, perfectly endowed with Soha and Om, overcoming all the great evils. Before you go, I want to remind you to click, let's see, we got a finger on the camera, subscribe, and to click like and share, and of course you share with your friends on Facebook and Twitter and Google+. You are always welcome to not only register for the next series of weekly webinars, but actually show up. Actually show up and be transformed. Until next we speak, may you and yours be healthy and happy. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha.